So we're going to talk now about the SSD intro module. And to me, one of the most valuable resources we have is this database, right? I mean, our language is key between the access gap and our strategic partnership with Primerica in the back office, and the ability to tell the access story, and allies, advocates, and associates, and assets, and the ability to run our offense, and all of those, the concepts are critical, and the language is phenomenal. But guys, at the end of the day, if our job is to grow our distribution company, and our advocate market, our advocate list is our feeder system, that means it's going to come down to our relationships. And the question is, if we've got 50 or 100 or 200 or 500 relationships and clients and associates and all that stuff, how do we stay on top of it? How do we not lose people? How do we not have things fall through the cracks? Well, for us to do this, man, we need to have a net. We need to have something that gives us that tool. And to be honest with you, right, if you look at any financial services company, you look at any distribution company, or really anyone else in Primerica, this is one of those tools that separates us above everybody else, and the ability to make sure that we can put our full-timers, our part-timers, our spare-timers, our allies, our advocates, our associates, our inactive, all of them can literally still be moving relationships forward, because at the end of the day, advances are permanent, and we want a support system for that. So we're going to break this down. Now remember, this video, like all of them, they're resources. Right? You've got the PowerPoint video with the PowerPoint with the animation. You've got the outlines. Use all of it. Now this is going to be the layout. Right? There's an actual presentation that walks people through that we'll do at a training or do at a practice and stuff like that. This one is the module style for you to have a clear picture of the hows and the whys of what we're doing. Right? To be able to utilize all the tools. Put in the time. Right? And one of the funny things is, if you've been around for any time, you know we like talking about fight to make an impact and drive to be profitable. And those are two really important things that we spend a lot of time talking about. But we also talk a lot about playing to win, but I don't think we talk about it enough. Right? Because at the end of the day, yes, I want to help people, and yes, I want to make money, but I love being on a winning team. I love, being able to fight and be a part of something and do something special. Art always said, man, right, everyone's got that neon sign that says, make me feel special. I want to be somebody. I want a shot. I want to be a part of something. Right? And we can't lose that. That's one of the most amazing parts to this company, is this opportunity to play to win, and we've got to be able to flush this out. Right? What does that mean? Right? Well, one of the questions is, right, if I'm talking to you, made an extra $500, $1,000, $1,500 a month, what would you do with it? See, sometimes we almost feel bad, going, well, no, what would you do? Would you pay down some debt? Would you take your spouse on a vacation? Would you do something with the kids? What would you do? Right? And yeah, we probably need to be responsible in the beginning, but if it was this month and the next month and the following month, at some point we could start dreaming. And if it was 500, great. What if it was 5,000? What if it was 15,000? You can put in any number there that gets you moving. Any number in there that gets you to start that little smile, right? Maybe 500 doesn't do it. You're like, yeah, 500. But now you're like 1,300. You got that little crack of a smile. That's what we want. That's that feeling inside that says, man, there is something that I want to be able to do. See, this is about our goals. Take the time and go look over the next 90 days. What is your I want? What would you like to accomplish? What could you feel good fighting for? What would get you up in the morning? What would get you, right, to put a little bit of time and a little bit of effort and then increase that, right? The whole concept of this is all we ever want to do is max out our capacity and then increase our capacity. Well, the only thing that's going to get us to max out our capacity is a goal that says it's worth it. And the only thing that's going to get us to increase a capacity is a goal that says you and I got to be a little bit bigger than we are right now to accomplish this, so we better find a way to increase it. So we go, man, we might as well say that's where this play to win comes in. Yes, it's good to fight for an impact. And yes, it's powerful to drive for profitability. But you know what? At the end of the day, you and I have a shot to be somebody, a shot to play, a shot to really get after this thing, right? We know our why, we know our how, but how do we get all three? See, the great thing about Primerica is if you love helping people, love it, and you get up focused, guess what you're going to do? You help a bunch of people, you're going to be incredibly profitable, and you're going to win every contest and everything this company ever did, and you do it long term, you will win. If you are motivated money, man, you love it, you love the idea of it, you think about it, you dream about it, fantastic. You get fired up and consumed at being profitable and rich and accumulate wealth and all that stuff, fantastic. Here, in order to do that, you are going to make a huge impact on a lot of people's lives, and you are going to win everything. And you know what? If you are motivated to win, if you're like, yeah, the money's good, the impact, but man, I want to be somebody. I want to walk into a room and have them go, that's him, that's her, they're the ones, they did it, they did something special, they made it, they did that, man, and you want that feeling here, guess what? You're going to make a huge impact, and unfortunately or fortunately, you're going to be very profitable. See, we wanted to build a system where you could get all three, where you and I could line up and say, man, there's a shot. So how do we do it? Well, you've been introduced in the past to our offense, right? Our roster and our players to our starters and our starters to our captains. But one of the questions that we've got to go is, well, how do we even get someone to a roster? And, you know, we've got this roster bridge that says, man, we're going to start with our top 10, and we're going to develop our market, and we're going to work the pool so we know how we're going to do all that, right? So that's fantastic. But what do you do to get folks on that roster? Well, we talked about developing your market, and we call it our draft board. Right? We tell our story to someone on the draft board that says they like you. Now look, and you like them. One of the greatest things about our business is you get to work with people that you like. Right? The other fun thing is they like and trust you. Here's what I found out. If you surround yourself with people that you like you, and they trust you, it's usually more fun getting up every day. And they see that Primerica could have a positive impact in their life. Guys, at the end of the day, if you have someone in your market that likes you, you like them, and they trust you, right, and they see Primerica as a positive impact in their life, they're on your draft board. We've got to go through and figure out how to overcome and address any hurdles, because there might be something that's stopping them, and that's okay. But we can spend some time, cultivate and develop the relationship, and run them through that process. So we understand how to do that. But how do we get them on our draft board? Right? So we sat back and said, okay, well, if we're going to do this, right, let's take a step back. If we went over to this market and we said, okay, we've got our hot, we've got our warm and our lukewarm and our frozen, right? These are the people in our lives. How do we do this? How do we take that first step, right, to be able to drive? Well, all of them get moved to our bullpen. Now, this is one of the more interesting phrases, our bullpen. Because my definition, and the definition of the bullpen, is someone that will say yes if you ask them. The challenge is, a lot of times, for whatever reason, we struggle asking. And so the goal is to drive everyone in the bullpen and then work on you and your thinking and your confidence and your skills and your beliefs, so that you get to a point where you're like, man, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make these calls and I'm going to make this impact, right? Because at the end of the day, we've got a huge crusade. We know this concept that Main Street families have been abandoned. Right, we understand that there's a legitimate need there. And so we go, man, we're going to drive these people to the bullpen because we have to call them. We've got to share this with them. We're not trying to get them to buy anything, and we're not trying to get them to join anything. We want them to understand that Main Street families have been abandoned, and that there's a company out there that's built to provide access to the education and the tools they need and the people in their lives need to have a legitimate shot to get financially secure. And some of those people go, man, not only that, but I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm stuck here too, and the only way to get financially free in America is through ownership, and if you had a path to ownership, I'd take advantage of that. See, we're going to go through, and the ones that say Primerica's a positive, man, I can see this, all of a sudden, they're in our bullpen. There's a legitimate opportunity to go through from draft board down to scout team, or down to captain. And the ones that go, right now, Primerica's just not for me, great, we got a place for them, they're on our scout team, and we're going to spend lots of time learning how to cultivate that relationship. And then all we did is said, okay, if we wanted to go through and have this conversation, how would we talk to our top 10? These are people we can say, I'm coming over. They're the building blocks of your support system. They're the most important people to put in your corner, so we've got a game plan for that. Our hot, these are people that'll say yes. All we got to do is ask them and realize that the relationship is already there for them to say yes. We just want to make sure that you're clear, feeling comfortable making that phone call and talking to them, because no one else is coming in their life. Our warm, these are folks, if we ask them, and we all have these friends, we're like, sure, just not right now. They want to be in charge of the relationship. There's nothing wrong with that, right? When the timing's right, you're still going to be here. Let's say they go, right now this month's not good, but next month's better. Well, you can be here next month? Great. So cultivate the relationship, be ready next month, get the phone call, now all of a sudden the warm went to hot, and you get to tell our story. Lukewarm. How many people in the world, if you say hi to them, they say hi back, right? You went to the dry cleaners and grabbed coffee and grabbed lunch and went to the baseball diamond and went to church and all. There's a million people in our lives who recognize our face and have watched us in our character. We can cultivate those relationships. We can develop things if we know how to do it. And then frozen. How many people did we know in our last life, or the life before that, we haven't talked to in 6 months or a year or 5 years, right? We don't want to call them up and say, hey, I just started this thing, right? But there's an opportunity to reestablish and cultivate the relationship so that we can figure out where they're at. We don't have to start over, guys. This isn't about having to only go, right, meet strangers. Look, if you meet good people in the world, should you talk to them? Yes. I am the biggest advocate for my company, right? We are on a mission to do something special, and if I run into somebody who's an animal that wants to do something different, maybe they maxed out their vehicle, but they haven't maxed out their potential, and I run into them, I am absolutely going to talk to them. You know why? Because I love what we do, and I believe that great people want to take advantage of something. But I don't want every day of my business to be that way. I don't want that to be the only way to grow. I want to be able to grow with the people in my life. I want to be able to cultivate the relationships with people that I love and care about and have a legitimate opportunity to make a huge difference. And so we wanted to build a system to be able to do it. Great. Now we know how to identify our market. Now what? Now we got all these people. What do we do with them? How do we track everyone in our market? Where the relationship is and what the next step is, right? I've never worked with people that much. I never stayed organized. If I got to do that, right? How do we know what to say, when to say, now and in the future? And then how do we train that, right? If we know what to do today, what are we going to do next week, next month? How do we keep all those relationships straight and make sure that they're in alignment with them so that we don't, right, push too hard or not enough? Or how do we do any of that? And then once we've learned it, because we're in the distribution business, how the heck do we teach it to anyone else? And then how do we teach them to teach someone else? See, when you think about this, it's like, oh, God. Okay, a lot of times if I end the meeting or if I end this conversation, people are like, oh, God. See, just so you know, we wouldn't actually be asking these questions if we didn't have a solution. But guys, our part of the company and the strategic partnership is developing our market. Primerica is asking questions like this on the financial services side, and they're building products and services built, and they're having to flush all the stuff. The back office has done this for all the training and the research and the community and the support and all that. Our business is distribution. Our business is our market. We're supposed to learn this stuff. We're supposed to be able to cultivate this stuff, right? The question is, how do we get supported? Well, we created the Superstars database, right? Some of you have seen this, some of you haven't. But this is literally an opportunity for a place to put all of your contacts, to be able to have all of those relationships in one place that you can access from anywhere. Your business, your support, your opportunity to grow, right? An opportunity to be able to know where your appointments are, what the process is, so you can literally keep track of your business in one place, right? It's an opportunity to have your goals and where to, right, know what your team's doing and who's coming to the meetings and what am I supposed to do today and what's the appointments coming, so that you could literally have a support system built for you every step of the way, so that we could get ahead of everything and make sure that you don't feel like you're taking on this thing alone, right? If you haven't been organized before, starting from scratch and doing that can be overwhelming. But if there was an entire system built, think about this, if an entire system built specifically for you to be able to import and track, a place to store and cultivate and develop all of the relationships in your life and your market. You could go one place, and if you wanted to pull up the hots, boom, there's a place to do it. If you want to pull up the warms or the frozen, boom, there's a way to do it. And a language built to be able to organize it and categorize it in your brain so that you know how to do that. And a language to be able to identify that you can help know where the relationships are at and the next step to take, right? What are those pieces? What's that process that we've got to be able to do, right? The workflows. We built a step-by-step game plan, worked out. Literally built to go, here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3, here's step 4. Now, disclosure. Does every process and workflow work perfectly? No, it's designed for the masses. Designed to be able to say, here's a thumbnail to be able to grow. But here's what I know. The better you get, the more creative at this system you're going to be. This is an opportunity for you to be able to have a support system and a guideline and an understanding of how your market works and where things go, and a starting spot, right? To be able to really create this. We created starter stories, broken down conversation. People have been doing this business a long time, and guess what? Lots and lots of people ask the same questions. So we said, man, why don't we find a way to answer those in a way that can be trained and duplicated, where people can talk about it. And it's not just, hey, learn these magic words. It's about, hey, here are these answers, and why don't we discuss it? Because I don't want you to just know the words. We want to make sure that you understand the thinking behind it, that you've got the resources and the tools behind it to make sure that you feel comfortable and strong because you're building a company. Great. Now what? Well, at the end of the day, all this learning is good, but we also need to be able to grow, right? We got to think about what we want to be able to do. So we said, look, take the time, right? Don't just go, those goals would be nice. Take the time to think those things out, right? Get yourself signed up for the SSD. Learn how the system works. Work with the person with your developer. Make sure you're ahead of that. The great news is, right, you don't have to sit and type in every contact, right? You can import it from Gmail or Facebook or Twitter or any of those other things. You literally can pull all of them in. There's a game plan built specifically to do it. It gives you the opportunity to identify your top 10, your next 10 hot, and your 25 frozen. What's your game plan? This is an opportunity for your business to start working. You're doing your hours. You're seeing this thing work. It's time we start transitioning from roster to player. We start developing our market. This is a platform to really start doing this. Make 3 bullpen calls. Look, are there 3 people right now that come to your mind that if you called them, they said yes? That doesn't really matter what you asked them, they'd say yes. Well, what if we went and told them the access gap conversation? What if we talked to them about the fact that Main Street families have been abandoned? You think that they would at least get locked in as an ally? That they would understand and support that you want to do something and that there's an opportunity for them to be a part of it? Because at the end of the day, that's all we're going to do is we're going to ask for their support. We're going to set the kitchen table with the coffees, and we're going to go in and tell our story, and we're going to start cultivating and developing your market. Guys, the SSD was built because we want to grow our distribution company. And if we're going to grow our distribution company, we're going to grow our draft board and our roster and our players and our starters and our captains, and we're going to work with our hot and our warm and our lukewarm and our frozen and all of these people. Man, if there was a place that we could go where we could literally import and track them so we didn't have to be responsible for all of it, we had a language that could help us understand what we should do next. There was a support system built to go, here's how this works, here's the next step, here's how you learn this, and then here are the conversations and the questions that lots of people have. So not only here's the answer, but here's the reason why the answers are there. And then a game plan to show us how to take it step by step so that we then can teach it to our people. Because I might be a great teacher and you might be a great student, right? And I might be able to teach all this to you and you're like, man, I got it. But now you're supposed to turn around and teach it to somebody else, and then they're supposed to turn and take it and teach it to somebody else. And at some point, how easy is it for these messages to get broken down? But what if there was a way to lock them in so that these messages never had to get broken down and all of the weight didn't fall on your shoulders? This is about a strategic partnership. This is about Primerica being the expert in financial services and being able to leverage their products and their compensation. This is about the back office having amazing training tools and resources and systems in place to make sure that we can be consistent and we can follow through and we know how to do it so we can grow and expand on a national platform easily. All these things are in place for us to be able to utilize these tools and grow a business so that we could fight to make an impact. We could drive to be profitable. And we could start getting that little smile so that we had a legitimate shot to play to win. See, again, right, this presentation reflects the opinions of the speakers, not those of Primerica. And again, right, this is designed for us. This is our language. This is our support system. This is our team. This is our opportunity to gather this up and go make an impact, guys. Right? The time is now. We do this thing. We take advantage of this SSD and we master it. Man, we got such an opportunity in front of us. So many people are waiting for us to show up. We can go get it done. See you soon.